Hi, my name's Nick Jarvis and welcome to Light Minds. In this video series, I'm looking at the principles behind the mindset that are for losing weight that could actually help you make the journey to the goals that you want much easier, or in our case, lighter. And one of the key aspects around that is the understanding of what you're experiencing on a day-to-day basis, moment-to-moment basis, and the implications of that in terms of the decisions you make. Now, I'm going to talk in one of the other videos about goals and what we're looking for from goals. But if you take a goal, something that you want, for example, I want to be a certain size, or I want to get into a certain dress size, whatever your goal is, and then you step it up. And what I mean by that is you ask the question, what's important to you about that? And you'll come up with something else. Like, so for example, if I get to a size 12 dress size, then I'll feel better about myself. Now, that's a bit soon, but you could say that. The reason why it's soon, because the feeling's already in there. Oh, if you feel better about yourself, what will that mean to you? I'll be more confident. Okay, if you were more confident, what's important to you about that? I'd interact with more people. I would socialize better. I would have better relationships. So you get the idea. The important thing is that when people step up the goal, they're actually looking most of the time, in fact, all the time, ultimately, to a feeling, a state that they want to be in. So they're looking they think the goals will help them to achieve the state. But that is in itself an illusion. But it's also important that when we step that back to this moment in time, and you ask yourself the questions, why didn't you do X, Y, Z? At that point in time, it's often because of the feelings that you were experiencing, the state that you were in. And that state determines whether you make a good choice or not. Now, I'm generalizing, but bear with me because I haven't got much time on these videos. So I just want to look again at this, at what you're actually experiencing, because these will lay the foundations for how you actually go about the change process, which at the end of the day is what we're looking at. So what we think predominantly is that we have a personality. We are a character. And that character as an adult is fixed. You know, the psychologist will tell you by 7, most of the inputting has taken place, and there are other periods, 14, 21, where it also happens. The Jesuits have a saying, show me the boy, the boy at 5 or 6, and I'll show you the man. So we think we have this personality, and I used to work on that basis. So information would come in, it would then come into our subconscious where everything is stored, and then based on it's a bit like a filing system, if you like, or the computer programs, the information stored there. Based on that, how I feel about the situation, I would then act. So everything is in my subconscious mind, and it's going to determine how I'm going to be. Now, that's predominantly how we see things. But the point I'm making here is our personality is fixed. This is who I am. This is what I do. So some of my workshops, I ask people to say, I start off saying, I am ... Who are you? And they put down these labels. They express themselves in certain ways. Now, in one of the previous videos, I showed you this, that the world is not fixed. And the interesting thing about that is neither are you in that world. Now, some people will say, for example, I'm disorganized. That's really interesting comment, because I am disorganized. Well, I can guarantee there will be times in someone's life when they're organized. It's not a black and white issue. Some people will say, I'm very highly motivated. Oh, really? I bet there are times when you're not that motivated. You see, so this idea that we're fixed beings with these fixed characteristics actually limits us, particularly when it comes to achieving results or making change, things that we want to be different in our lives. And so with weight loss, it's the same. We have these labels, and then we live as if they're true. But in fact, if you just look for the evidence yourself, you'll begin to see that you're not fixed. It's not black and white. So if you're worried about the food choices you're making, well, actually, there will be times when you make great food choices. And there'll be other times you won't make such good food choices. but it's not fixed. And this is important to begin to understand, because when you then see that things aren't fixed, and the way that you're seeing the world, i.e. not through a camera, but through a projector, what happens is you begin to understand that in any moment, you're making up so much of your experience. So this is called the Canesa triangle. It's very interesting, isn't it? So you look at this. Well, I find it interesting because, again, it's something I do in workshops. I get the people in the workshops to look at this, and I ask them what they see. Now, some people say Pac-Man. Some people, for those old enough to know what that is, some people will say triangles. I see two triangles. Some people will say circles. Some people say triangles and circles. But the interesting thing when you look at this is there are no triangles and there are no circles there. So what's happened? Well, as you've looked at it, you might think there are. You might even begin to have an argument with me and say, Nick, there are triangles there. I can see the triangles. I can see the circles. There are 3 of them. I can assure you they're not, because the lines aren't all joined up. But what you've done is you filled in the gaps. That's what we do as humans. So we receive some information that comes in through our conscious mind, or our mind, 11 million pieces. We're conscious and aware of 50 of those pieces. I used to say 2 million, but the neuroscientists assure me that it's not, it's 11 million now. We're aware of 50 of those pieces of information, just aware, not really focused on them. And then what we do is we go, oh, okay, that means this, and we make up the rest of it. Now that's really interesting, because every circumstance you find yourself in, you're making up so much of it. The lens that you're looking at the world through at that point in time is determining what's happening to you. So making it up moment to moment. This is where I talk about the 3 principles that I've talked about in other videos. You've got this energy, life force coming through you called mind, powers the projector. You've got the lens and you've got the film in there. That's thought creating what you're seeing. And then you've got consciousness. You're aware, you're awakened to what's happening, going on in life. Those 3 principles. That's how you're experiencing life. Now, as you begin to understand this more and more, you begin to realize that the world that you're seeing is an illusion created internally. Hence the term, you're projecting out into the world your perception of the world. So, in fact, you see, people think that you're viewing the world with the camera, and these are 2 windows. Our eyes are windows onto the world. They're not. You're in a darkened chamber. Your brain is in a darkened chamber. It receives information from all over you. All of that's coming in. Then it's making sense of it. Oh, it means that. And then it's projecting out there into the world. So all the labels, the way you think you deal with situations and stuff like that, moment to moment can change. You don't have to be the way that you think or have been told that you are. You know, I'm a parent, and I remember being a parent looking at my 2 sons and thinking, oh, he's good at that, and he's not so good at that, but he's good at that, etc., etc. And unconsciously, as parents, we begin to label our children. They begin to take on board those labels, but they're not the truth. They were my perception as I received information in and chucked it out, and I was not seeing all the information. I was making up, I was filling in the gaps. So some of you you're struggling with the issue, I'm always overweight. Every time I go on a diet, I fail. And you think that's you. It's not you. And my clients say to me, I can't do X, Y, Z. Not true. In the past, you might have struggled to do that, but it's never black and white. You're always learning. You're always changing. You have mind coming through you. So what that means is you are what is before the therefore, as Michael Neill says. Michael Neill says, so when you say, therefore such and such, so for example, I like socializing, therefore I have to go to the pub and have a drink. The therefore is not, after the therefore is not the truth. It doesn't have to be that way. We make it up. That's the lens we look at, and we live our lives like that. And when we begin to see through these things, it opens up huge possibility for us to be different, to become different, to change things, to have different things in our lives. And that's really what Light Minds is about. It's actually showing you through the illusions, the misunderstandings that we have of how we're experiencing life and who we are, and awakens you to the possibility of the things that you've got going for you. So it'd be great. You know, I understand, you know, to many people, 30 days is a challenge to go on the program. But if you can go on the program, you'll see a lot more of this, because it's, you know, it's like you'll immerse yourself in it over a relatively short period of time. So if you're interested, www.lightminds.life. It'd be great to have you on board. Thanks very much.